something that a lot of people are afraid of doing because they're afraid that people will be like, why are you DMing me? Like, what? And everything else. Whereas it is, you cannot sell unless you have one-on-one conversation. This is Biz Talk with Tanya, brought to you by Wiz Digital Academy, a show for business athletes and online bosses who are ready to take up. Hello, family. We are back. This is Biz Talk with Tanya. And if you are listening to this on any of your audio platform, your podcast platform, please subscribe. Follow the podcast. We bring some great content here, and we bring people that are choosing to do business their way and breaking the rules. So on today's show, I know you're going to love me. If you don't love me after this, I don't know, me and you need to have a private conversation, because we're going to have a conversation here with James about how you can be getting more clients through the DMs. Don't freak out. I know you're about to go, no, Tanya. I thought we don't do DMs in this family. Now, we don't do the cold pitching type of DMs. However, there is a better way to do DM conversations that can actually lead to sales and that could convert a number of the people that you have hanging on your social media. So I decided to bring James here. It teaches you how to do that. And one of the reasons why I brought him on the show is because the way he did it with me, I was like, I gotta share you with my community, because you did me a number there. Because I usually be like, DM. It's usually good or it's usually really bad. And he did it so beautifully. But before we continue on, we're gonna let the gent introduce himself to the family. Welcome to the show, James.
Thanks, Tanya. Thank you for that glowing introduction. I hope I managed to live up to it. Just speaking about LinkedIn, the funny thing with LinkedIn is I actually got into it by accident. I had no intention of ever getting into LinkedIn because many years ago, I wrote a book on sales funnels. So I considered myself to be the sales funnel expert. It was, of course, a long time ago when that happened. And it actually had come off the back of a tough time in my life. I'd been part of a small audit practice where we had 4 partners, and we really lost a couple of key clients during that last recession. And neither myself nor any of my partners knew how to actually replace those clients. And so that's actually how I got into this whole world of online marketing, because at the time, I'd seen a quote from Bill Gates where he said, if your business is not online, you'll be out of business. And this was 30 years ago. And so, I started getting involved in online marketing, and as I say, became the sales funnel expert and went back into my niche. So I'm a very, very big fan of niching, both on LinkedIn and everywhere else, which is accountants and financial advisors. So for the longest time, I was teaching them how to get clients. But, the world started to change. And I'm talking even before COVID, because more and more people started to start going online, and the way that people would buy services changed. So, in days gone by, let's say somebody needed an accountant and, they got a referral. The referral would just go to the accountant and say, hey, I'm here. Joe says I should come. Let's get on with it. But of course, as things changed, that changed, right? So now somebody says, hey, you need an accountant, go see Tanya. Sorry, Tanya. Go see Tanya. And then somebody says, okay, who's Tanya? Go online. Okay, let's see. And when they Google Tanya, guess what comes up 99% of the time? Was the LinkedIn profile. And so I had to become good at really understanding LinkedIn, because what was happening is that I was doing amazing work with my clients, right? But at the end of the day, the problem that was actually happening was that people would go and Google them, and then they get to the LinkedIn profile, and the profile was awful, and they would say, that profile is terrible. You can't be any good as a service provider. That profile is so bad. And so that's kind of the history in terms of how I got into this whole thing. And so I realized that all of our clients that we can possibly hope for if we're in the B2B space are on LinkedIn. And so I started to get really good at it and started to understand it. And before I knew it, I'd written a couple of books on the topic, and I guess that's one of the reasons that you and I are talking today. And so I've really perfected the system, and up until very recently, I was really just coaching accountants and financial advisors how to use LinkedIn to get clients. And quite honestly, the system's really simple, if I can explain it to you, because it'll lead very nicely to the topic for today. It's really identify who we want to speak to and be very clear on that person. So in my case, accountants and financial advisors, because I know them very well, because I was one of them for many years. Create a profile that speaks just to them, that's very client-centric, and then do the outreach where you start speaking to people. And the outreach is very simple, right? LinkedIn only allows you to send 100 connection requests a day. And when people accept your connection request, then obviously you get to start conversations with them, which is kind of what we did. And, you know, a lot of people make a mistake with conversations and DMs, as you put it, is that, you know, and you've seen it yourself. I'm sure everybody on this call has seen it. Like, you accept a connection request from somebody, and the next thing you know, 2 minutes later, you get that a message you want to vomit all over. Like, hey, this is all the stuff that I sell. You should buy my stuff. Hey, how about, do you have 5 minutes for a quick cup of coffee or a virtual meeting? It's like, and you know, the big problem with that is that people make a lot of assumptions, right? You're making an assumption that the person that you've connected with wants to buy your product, needs your product or service, is ready to buy it right now. But the reality is, right, if you look at probably the last 60 years, only about 1 to 3, and we find with our system, because of what we do, probably pushes that to 5%. Only about 1 to 5% of the people that you're going to speak to are actually ready to buy your product or service right now. Which means that if you do all that cute-worthy stuff that we spoke about, what's going to happen is that you're actually going to alienate 95% of your market, right? And the reality is, sure, they may not be ready to buy from you right now. And in fact, you might hear, you know what? Nah, I've had my accountant for the last 20 years. I'm never changing. But guess what? 3 months' time, the accountant passes away. You change your business. Your accountant immigrates, and suddenly now you need a new person. Who's the person that you're going to reach out to, right? The person that you've been building those relationships with. So that's really the key, is build relationships first, establish whether there's a need with people, and only then, if there is, then offer. Okay, so you'll see in the world that I operate in, I never try to sell anything. I always want people to buy, and I'm always very respectful when I'm speaking to people, saying, hey, if you'd like this, I can help with this. Would you like this? Would you like that? And I always let people read me sort of by the nose, and if they are happy, then and only then will I really engage in conversation. So that's kind of a long introduction from where I come from to how I've got to what we're doing today.
So interesting. Thank you for actually already touching on this. I know if people are watching or listening, they are going to be like, oh, this is interesting. Because one of the things that I've noticed, like I like to say, I think one of the first conversations that we had, I said, I'm a Facebook refugee. So I didn't run away from Facebook because I'm still on Facebook, but I was primarily more active on other platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Those were like my playgrounds. And then eventually I'm like, you know what? I'm going to jump into LinkedIn. And I had the benefit of already being able to operate on other social media platforms and build communities there. Now, a lot of people don't. And a lot of people don't know how to engage in social selling, because social selling, which is essentially what we do on social media, and when you engage people in the DMs, is something that a lot of people are afraid of doing, because they're afraid that people will be like, why are you DMing me? Like, what? And everything else. Whereas you cannot sell unless you have one-on-one conversation. I know there's a lot of conversation online, and if you're listening to this or watching this, you're like, well, I have this coach that say that I don't have to get on sales calls. They can teach me how to not get on sales calls. They can teach me how to do all that, and that I can only sell through my sales page. If they can do that, please DM me, because I want to know how. Because one of the things is, if you are selling an offer that is tailor made, for example, or coaching that is high ticket, that is a premium service, I guarantee you, if you offer consulting services, you're an agency, you will not sell $100,000 offer via a page, a sales page, without having a one-on-one conversation. So it's DMs, just like sales calls, are one-on-one conversations. I wanted to preface that for everyone that is listening that is like, I don't like DMs. A lot of the people that I've had on my show has been through DMs. And a lot of times it's me DMing them, like, or sending them an email. A lot of the podcasts I've been on, I've pitched myself. I'm not at that level yet where somebody will be like, oh, I heard about you on the radio. I watched you on CBS or CNN or one of these big media outlets. So I have to pitch myself to say like, hey, I'm an expert on this. Would you mind me coming on your platform? And that is mastering one-on-one conversation, mastering social media, because most of the time somebody might not see your email, but they will see the social media DMs. And if you know how to do this, you will be able to amplify your brand, amplify your marketing message, and create that flywheel that we like to talk about.
We will be back shortly with your episode. Right now, let's hear a quick word from today's episode sponsor.
Are you looking for a simple way to start making sales? Then you'll want to check out our coaching program, Easy Sales Blueprint. Finally, an easy way to sell your program or service. Discover the simple steps to creating a lucrative coaching or consulting business. The Easy Sales Blueprint gives you a step-by-step method to easily make more sales without spending all day on social media, cold outreach, and hitting the door to try a good old-fashioned door-to-door sales system. Apply today by heading to tiny.cc/getmoresales to find out how we can help you achieve online sales success. Now, that was long-winded. James, the biggest issue that I get, because when I speak to clients, and you can see that it's something that, I have issues with my clients. Though I've had, one thing I've noticed, though, I have to bring this up. The clients that have no problems with social selling are often men. The clients I've seen that have the biggest resistance with social selling are women. I don't know, have you noticed something similar?
I can't say I have, but now that you mention it, I guess most of my clients are men. But no, I can't say that I've noticed it in any particular way. Well, that's quite interesting. That you're remember though, I deal with a slightly different market. Mostly, I deal more with the professional market. But I suppose even the coaches that I chat to on the odd occasion. No, not really. Either people are kind of attuned to this thing or they're not. If they're not, then I find that there's a little bit of a mindset gap that one really has to get over, before people will actually be happy to engage. In fact, I spoke to a partner of an accounting firm just before I chatted to you, and I'd spoken to her partner earlier on in the year, and this poor woman had come out of a corporate environment, was always an employee, and just was almost hyperventilating at the thought that she had to get online, be in front of people and talk to people. And so, I think sometimes, people just have to realize, this is no different if you think about being online. It really is no different to how it is in a one-on-one space. So before COVID, particularly us in South Africa, or your international audience, we would much rather have been having a chat face-to-face. Hey, let's have coffee, let's have lunch. And that's how things were conducted. And then COVID came along and turned everything on its head. I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Just before COVID, I had quite a large coaching practice, and I used to actually encourage people to physically come to my office and sit next to me when we would coach, because I believed in that one-on-one and building the relationships. And it was fantastic, right? And then, of course, COVID happened, and so everybody had to go online. And when COVID was finished, everybody was just so keen to see people again. That's all they wanted to do. And so I phoned all the people up. I said, hey, come back. Have a guess how many people came back. 0. Okay? Everybody said to me, no. We live online. Not even one. Online works fine. We don't want to be in the traffic. And so literally in a space of 6 months, the way that the world perceives things change, right? So for all of us on this call, that's fantastic, right? Because people now expect to speak to us in an online space. But they do want to speak to us. You see, that's the thing. And I think maybe that's what you were alluding to. They do want to talk to us. They're not going to buy anything, as you said, off that sales page. And sometimes even if they really know you, because like, they just want to talk to you. Like, do they like you? Do they trust you? Do they feel that it's going to work? Is the timing right for them? Is this actually right for them? They need to answer these questions, right? They want to talk to you. They want to see, are you a real person? Like, do you exist, or are you just like some salesy person that's out there that's just out there to scam me and get my money? So you have to be prepared to go through that. You must do the hard yards, speak to the people. And in order to get to that point, you've got to break the ice. And that's really where the DMs come into play, and it starts off actually, but with your first message, which is your connection message, So a lot of people don't even write a connection message; they just click connect. That's not the best thing, Start that relationship. I know you only have 300 characters, but start talking to people. Get into it. Tell them, why you're connecting. Find a commonality. Give them a compliment. Give them a reason to connect with you. And if you do a good job, they'll go to your profile, which is a reason your profile needs to be good, and then they'll connect with you. And then from there, you take things up another notch, and you continue the conversation. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight, and hopefully that can help some of those people that, I don't know, that are feeling a little claustrophobic with the situation. And one of the great things with LinkedIn, and by the way, for your peeps, I'll happily give them a copy of my book if you like. So all of these things that I'm telling you, they can pop in there and work out exactly how to do it. There's no charge to that. It's just for your people. And so the thing is, when you actually go ahead, right, and you get into that, and your mind gets around, what you'll see in the system if you go through the book is that the preparation is so important. And when you get that right, your profile will become that sales page that you speak about. And when you send out a connection request, what's the first thing the intelligent person says? Is, hey, who's this Tanya chick? Let me go check her profile. And if you've targeted nicely and your profile is very client-centric, that's when firstly, they'll accept your connection request. And then when you follow up with the DMs, they think, oh, yes, I remember this person. Yes, I should get involved. And that's how conversations start and ultimately lead to consultations, which is obviously what all of us need in order to close our business into our coaching practices.
I love what you just said, Dave. Profile becomes your landing page, your sales page. And this is something that I also tell my clients. Your social media accounts, your internet presence is the equivalent of your office online. That's the equivalent. And I once gave a client this picture that, imagine that your LinkedIn profile was your office reception. And somebody's passing by and they're like, oh, accountant, oh, coach. What do you want them to be able to know if there was a receptionist there in front of them and they could ask a question? And that was a light bulb moment for my client, because that's exactly what your social media is. It's that. Whereas one thing I love about LinkedIn is that it brings the best of both worlds. It brings the best of Instagram in a way, and also brings the best of Facebook, because you are allowed to create conversations. You want to create relationships if you want to. And the best part that I love about it is that it's not as crowded as the other kids. Those other two kids are very crowded. And when you are doing business, it's not as easy to stand out. So we're talking about profile, and thank you for offering the books. Guys, I'll link the details to James' profile. Do they reach out to you via the DMs, or how can they get hold of you?
Yeah, just reach out to me on LinkedIn, send me a connection request, say, hey, you saw me on Fabulous Tanya's podcast, and can I have the book? I'll accept, and I'll just send you the book. No nonsense, no opt-ins, none of that crap. I just give you the book. Easy as
Guys,
that.
let me hear you say that I've never put you guys on. Come on, yeah? Let me hear you say that I haven't put you on. Because your girl be putting you on that money. Because I told y'all, 2023 is the year we gotta make that money. We make that money, okay? So you were speaking about profiles. Can you give my audience a couple of tips on how to ensure that their profile can start converting those profile views, those people they are connecting with? Because I know you have a system that helps people get at least 2 clients per week with their profile. So can you just give them a little bit of what is in the book?
Yeah, I can. I think what you got to appreciate with, when you're looking at being on LinkedIn, different people use LinkedIn for different reasons, right? So in my world, and I suppose I'm a coach. I just coach accountants and financial advisors. But when I'm trying to use LinkedIn for client generation, what I'm doing is, in fact, I'm in control of the process. Believe it or not, although it doesn't seem like that. And so what happens is you create the profile to be very client-centric. So as you said, it's kind of a combination of a landing page, a sales page, and everything in between. And so LinkedIn only allows us to send out 100 connection requests a week, which is plenty, by the way. You get we're booking easily 3 to 5 consultations a week based on that. And so how that basically works is when you send a connection message to someone, as I say, the intelligent person says, oh, I wonder who this is, and they go and they look at the profile, right? Then once that's happened, then the magic starts happening. And so the profile really is the thing that drives everything. And if you target correctly and you create the profile in such a way, when people go and look at the profile, as I said to you a little bit earlier, there's going to be somewhere between 1% and 5% of people who are actually looking for what you're selling right now. So the key with the profile is remembering that you have driven them there. So when you create the profile for that very specific ideal client that you identify. So a lot of us are in the spray and pray business where, oh, no, I'll coach anybody. No, don't coach anybody. Coach a specific group of people, because that group of people that you want to coach, that you're going to create a profile for, has a very specific set of problems. They all have the same problems, the same objections, the same solutions. It's all the same. It's so easy for you as a coach, right? You don't have to work hard. Just concentrate on that group of people. And guess who they know? More people like them, right? So your referrals are so much easier. And so when you do that, right, and you send out a connection request, essentially what you're doing is, as I say, you're actually in control because you selected that group of people. So when they land on your profile, right, what you want is to make sure that profile is very client-centric, and you want them to say, oh, this is just for me. And if you've done your targeting right, it will be right. So I know there was quite a big setup, but when you understand that what I'm about to tell you is going to make a whole lot more sense. Now, the reality is there's only 5 sections in your profile that actually matter. So you have a banner when people get to your profile. And here's the kicker with this, guys, is I reckon you've got less than a second today to get people's attention, because the eye can take in a lot of information, right? So it gets to the LinkedIn profile, and you better answer in no time flat. Hey, you're in the right place. You should read the rest of the profile. Otherwise, it just skips through to the next thing. So what we do on the banners, that's where we do all the branding, right? So everything's congruent with our website, with maybe our other social media profiles. We'll probably have our logo on there, the colors, all of those things, right? So that people get to recognize us. But what I like to do there is I like to call out to my ideal client. And I like to say, hey, this is what I do and this is who I do it for. So that not only is there a visual, an image, right, which is an emotive image, right? So not any old crappy image that you just go and shoot. You must think about that image. The person that gets there must look at the image and see themselves in it. So, okay, that's me. And then you say, hey, I help this group of people do this, right? So in my case, I help accountants and financial advisors get 2 clients a month, right? So very, very specific. So if you don't need clients and you get there, you will move along. If you do need clients and you're a lawyer and you're not a financial advisor or an accountant, you should move along, right? So they get there and they know they're in the right place. That's the first thing, very important. Then obviously your profile picture is important. You guys have probably seen a lot of terrible pictures. This is one of those things where really a poor picture, poor profile pic really hurts you. A good one is something that you use across all your profiles, right? And you were talking a little bit earlier about things like Insta and Facebook. There's a very big difference between LinkedIn as a social platform and all of the others, right? LinkedIn is a B2B platform. Make no mistake. It's not like the others. You've always got to put your best foot forward, and you must be professional. So, when you have these photos, take up all the real estate. You've got that little circle. It's a headshot. It's not like a full body shot. You want people to see your face, see the smile, see your eyes, see the expression, right? Then you want them to think, yes, I like this person. I want to deal with that person, right? Clear background, right? Don't fight with anything. Don't have a picture of your newborn baby. There's a different place for that. It's not on LinkedIn, right? With your significant other because you just got married, heaven forbid, at a party. Don't put your company logo on there. Goodness gracious, that one drives me nuts, right? This is personal. You're building a relationship. Who am I? Let the people see. Then, of course, your headline is the most important. And again, here, I like to reach out to people and tell them what I do. And this is where you put your value proposition. So for all of us coaches, we all have our value proposition, our USP, our elevated pitch. Put that there. Right? It's way better than all of the other nonsense that we put there, because really, what do they care about? It's like, what can you do for me? And you better get it out there as soon as possible, right? Read the book. There's a couple of cool formulas in there. It's not rocket science for us to put together, but let them know what it is that you can do. And then the other two sections, so that's 3 of the 5. The other 2, the first one is the about section. So the way that you want to think about the about section is that take websites, right? What LinkedIn is trying to do is they are trying to emulate, the modern day website and a LinkedIn profile, particularly for professionals who don't have websites. Now, as coaches, we should all have websites, right? But even if we don't, what LinkedIn is trying to do is just trying to emulate it. So think about this, right? Think about your website, the modern day website. We all kind of know what a good website looks like. Across the board, right? When people go to a website, the homepage obviously is the most visited page. But when people get the first opportunity to click, first free choice, the most visited page is the About Us section. Guess what LinkedIn does, right? Under all of that stuff that we just discussed. The About Us section, right? Unless we're messing around in creator mode and all of that. But I mean, generally speaking. Why? Because LinkedIn understands that that's what people want. And so think about this, guys. What do we put in the About Us section? Okay, it's not really about us, is it? It's about what we can do for our clients. So again, you're making that very client-centric. And this is where you go back, as I said, to that avatar that you chose. Be very specific. And what you want to do is you want to bond with it as soon as you can. Because the quicker you bond with them, the quicker they get to know, like, and trust you, the shorter that sales cycle is going to be. And so the best way to do that is via a story, right? We all know that. We've all got our personal story. This is the place to put that personal story in. And really, what you want to do is you want to explain to people, well, what was my story? And it could be your personal story. Like in my case, I told you my story. That was a personal story. It could be a story of one of your clients. How did you become the person that you are? How did you get into being the coach that you are? That's the first part of the story. And then you need a little bridge to say, okay, this is now why I have chosen to coach you. Okay, specifically. So now that story isn't just some story. You're not just some freaking life coach, right? You're a life coach that coaches lawyers because your mother was a lawyer and your auntie was a lawyer and whatever the story is. And so now there's that causal link and people can see themselves in there, right? And once you do that, you really get to bond with them, and then it's a piece of cake. And then the last piece really is all about looking at the experience section. So again, go back to the website, right? As we go through the website, your experience section is kind of like your products and services. And that's really what you want to put there. Because if people get to the point where they know that they want to work with you, they're interested, they're going to go to the experience section. Because what's the question on their mind? Can you help me with fill in the blank? Can you help me with X? And if they can see that you can help with X there, that's when they book the meeting and the phone call. So, I mean, those would be the top tips. Those are the big 5. The book has got all the rest of the bits and pieces that you would need. But honestly, I found that if you crack those 5, the rest of the stuff on the profile hardly matters. Even if you didn't have it, it probably wouldn't make any difference at all. So.
Thank you for that. That's like a masterclass in a podcast. Guys, I hope you are taking note. And I actually wanted to bring, before we move to the part on DMs, there's something that James, I'm actually looking at my phone if you're watching on YouTube, and there's something that James does in his about section. It's like, I help progressive accountants and financial advisors to get at least 2 new clients a month forever. Get your first 2 clients in the next 45 days. And I love that you are making a promise within the first 3 lines that somebody lands on that thing. Because literally, as a copywriter, it takes me back to copywriting principles of the headline is about making promises. The headline and subheadline is often about making promises. And in your about section, you do it so beautifully that I'm like, if I was an accountant, I definitely want to read further. So yeah, guys, reach out to him about the book. But now, before we proceed with the book, everything else, we've covered some of the basics of setting yourself up for success on LinkedIn if you are going to do social selling. And I have to preface that you can take some of this principle and extrapolate it on other platforms. But with LinkedIn, it's a little bit better because you do quite a lot with your profile compared to Facebook, where you only have like 3 lines. Same thing with Instagram. Now, how do they do the DMs? How do they connect with potential clients? They've connected, they're doing the thing, 100 connection every week. It's their ideal client, they're sure about their ideal client, they've worked on their profile, they got it done to the T. It's perfect right now, as best as it could be. Now, how do they do the DMs to connect with these people that they are connecting with to possibly convert them to clients?
So if you've got your profile right, like I've just explained to you, right, then the profile is going to do a lot of the selling for you. So think of it this way. We're able to send 100 connection requests a week, right? So we don't just send to 100 random people. We're very, very specific in who we send to. We spend a lot of time using the filters to work out who those people are. Because remember, you've actually got 2 problems on LinkedIn. Not 2 problems. You've got two considerations. Consideration number 1, is this an ideal client? Right? So that's on you to kind of work out who the avatar is. But the second thing is that only about half the people that are on LinkedIn are actually active. So you need to try to find the active people. That's your secondary goal, because if you send 100 connection requests and you send 50 of them to people that are not active, then you've just wasted 50 of your 100 opportunities for that week. Okay, so it's very important that we choose the right people. So when we start connecting with people and we send them that first connection request and they accept our connection request, this is where I think a lot of people go wrong, is because they think, oh, okay, they've connected with me, now I can sell to them. No, you cannot sell to them yet. It's like, imagine that we meet at a friend's house, we're at a bar and we start chatting and we hit it off. Imagine the first thing I say to you is, hey, I'm a LinkedIn expert. Do you need some LinkedIn services? Like, that's my opening line. It's like, seriously? You'll walk away and never come back. You'll say to your friend, who is that jerk idiot that you invited to the party? So we think now, right, because we're online, that the social etiquette and the stuff that we were doing offline goes out the window because people can't see us. What are you thinking, people? In fact, it's more important to use the social etiquette today, right? If you wouldn't say something offline, don't say it online. It's really as simple as that. Whatever you would do offline, just do it online. It's not rocket science, right? So in that scenario, what would we do? I come up to you and say, hey, hi, I'm James. You say, hey, I'm Tanya. We start chatting. Hey, what do you do? We get to know each other. We shoot the breeze. And then maybe at the end of that, I might say to you, hey, Tanya, it was awesome meeting you. Hey, what do you say we have some coffee next week? And you might say, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And then next week, I phone you up and say, hey, man, it was awesome seeing you at the bar. Why don't we go have some coffee? All right? Well, that's what you do on LinkedIn. It's not rocket science. So you send the connection request, right? Somebody connects with you. Then you follow up and you say, hey, thank you for connecting. Right? How many times have people said thank you to you when you connect with them? Like, because you send a connection request to somebody. Just put yourself in the mindset, right? The person is thinking to themselves, wonder who this person is. Do they want to spam me? What do they want to sell me? And so if they actually accept your connection request because you've done a whole lot of stuff right, like that's golden, people. You need to flip and respect that. That is like, thank you very much. And when you thank them, it's a sincere thank you, right? Even though it's just one little line, thanks for connecting. When you do it, you be very sincere. So that's your opening line, right? And then now you have an opportunity to really start the dialogue, because what do you want to do? You want to build a relationship, right? So before we ask for anything, right, let's just chat and get to know each other. And so this is kind of I think this is the DM that you were referring to with you. And so what I like to do is I like to introduce myself as a person. This is me, this is what I do. And I'll just tell people a little bit about myself, right? Nothing crazy, nothing hectic out there, just a few things, but different things, right? So that I'm talking about very different aspects of my life, so that I'm giving people different opportunities to resonate with me. So like, for example, I'll say, hey, I'm a dad, right? So any parent's going to resonate with me. I talk about liking magic, right? As a hobby. So people that have other hobbies or that like magic, they'll resonate. And I support some very questionable sports teams, which I don't want to go into at the moment because I'm still very hurt about it. But that starts a lot of conversations with people, right? But its main goal was really just to break the ice, was to say, oh, okay, he's a real person. This is great. And then, you know, what I do is now I think I've kind of earned the right. And so I just say, oh, by the way, listen, from a professional perspective, this is what I do. And it's just a little one-liner that I drop in and I say, hey, if I could ever be of assistance, let me know. Okay. No, hey, do you have 5 minutes for a call? Hey, do you want my book? Do you want the lead back? None of that. It's just like, hey, this is what I do. And I leave it there. Okay. Now, here's the magic of this, right? What now happens is now reciprocation and all those good things that we talked in marketing, this kicks in. So people now read this, and a lot of times people are moved, right? So look at it, and many times what that second message in particular will force them back to the profile, because maybe they didn't read it the first time, maybe they didn't read it properly, but now they get the second message, and this is a more personal message, right? So it's really, it has started a conversation. And then they'll go back and look. And then sometimes, and many times, it's quite funny. People will kind of emulate the structure of the message, and then they'll write back to me and they'll tell me about their kids and their issues, etc., etc. But the conversation has then started. And many times, when if they happen to be in that in that 1 to 5% that I was telling you about, because that's really what I want as my opening salvo, as it were, right? I'm trying to find, let's call it the low-hanging fruit, if you like. But I'm not trying to ram it down their throats. I want the low-hanging fruit to say, yes, that's me, let's chat. And that's what will happen, right? So when they receive that, particularly that second message, which is very kind of low-key in its introduction, they'll reach out to me and say, oh, I see you're into LinkedIn lead generation. I was wondering, can you help me with this? And then the conversation is on, right? And then your job simply is to go backwards and forwards, ask your questions, lead the conversation to the point where it makes sense to say, you know what, why don't we jump onto a quick call and I can explain everything to you. And that is such a simple way to do it. When you get on the call, they know why they're there, and it's so easy for them to resonate with you, and they're actually in the right frame of mind to buy from you. So you can see, I don't like the high pressure stuff. I'm never doing that. It's always a case of them basically reaching out and then me saying to them, hey, would you be interested? Would you like? I'm always offering. If they say yes, guess what? Then I know they're interested. Then by all means, I can tell them about my thing. But this thing where you don't know and you just vomit on everybody, you can alienate 95% to 99% of your contacts, which is not what you want to do. So Tanya, does that give you a little bit of insight? That's the opening, and then obviously get a bit more involved from there.
Yeah, definitely. It gives me insight. I just even wanted to quickly read the message that James sent me, so you guys can get insight on what he just spoke about. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for connecting. I thought I would just quickly introduce myself. Personally, I'm a father, like magic, and unfortunately support Manchester United. Now, when he said that, I smiled. The one reason why I smiled, because that's my son's team. That's my son's team. So when he said, I support Manchester United, I was like, oh, shame. And immediately any form of resistance I had to reading the rest of the message evaporated completely. And I continued reading, and he continued to say the Lions and Ferrari finding something is sort of going right. And it showed me that he had a sense of humor. And because I have a sense of humor, anybody that's been around, y'all know I'm a clown, like seriously. So I was like, this is somebody with a sense of humor. I immediately identified with him because I was looking for a point of, like, this is what we all do. How am I similar to this person? We do that subconsciously. And then he went on to say, professionally, I help business owners and professionals, mostly accountants and financial advisors, who are responsible to land new clients to do that using LinkedIn. I've written a couple of books teaching my method. Here he reinforced his credibility and authority on the subject. So y'all get the book. I'm not gonna continue, but you can see that it's not just a random message. There is thought and structure to what he's doing. And after I was done reading, I was like, this was literally my message. Hi, James. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. What a breath of fresh air to see someone who sends such a great message. Because somewhere in the message he said, can I feel free to use me as a resource? And I said, as a matter of fact, I'm looking for guests as I'm resuming events and be glad to possibly host you as an expert on my podcast. You have it. Now, I have a ton of pictures in my emails, in my DMs, on getting on the podcast. Most of the time, I ignore them. Because I have a podcast, because I have a group, because I host these events, I get pitched all the time. He didn't pitch me. I literally was like, yeah, and I want you to come on my podcast. Why? Because of the way he introduced himself. And that gives us the opportunity to collaborate. Because some people may not be your ideal client, but they may have access to your ideal clients. So you need to be able to do this well. So guys, I know we've done it. We've spoken about it. He's spoken to you about the DMs, how to send those DMs, and how to move the conversation. Now, before I think that's a masterclass on its own, and we are going to wrap up. And I'm going to let James share some resources on how you guys can get hold of him, because he did mention LinkedIn, and if he has anything else outside of the book that he wants you guys to get your hands on. James, fire ahead, let them know how they can, get their hands on your goodies.
Thanks. I think probably the easiest thing to do is just reach out to me on LinkedIn, which is obviously just linkedin.com/IN, James Malfetus. My website is regularclients.com, regular clients with an S. If you want to pop on there, find any info. All my contact details on there. If you want to WhatsApp me, phone me, I'm always available for a chat. Reach out, and I can help you. We've done so many webinars and things. If you want anything, we'll happily give that to you, because as a coach, my modus operandi has always been, because of the history that I told you where I lost my business, is I've always been very happy to help others. That's why I give the book away, because I know a lot of people, they can't always afford the big bucks, but the book can help them if they're prepared to put in the hours. And so I'm very happy to teach people, and I don't hold it anyway, I just give it all away, because I make my money when people raise their hands and say, you know what, I want help with that because I can get there faster, or I know that I want to shorten the learning curve. So that's how I do it. So guys, I really am, if you want anything, reach out to me and I will help you in any way that I possibly can. So regularclients.com, or just find me, James Malfetus, on LinkedIn, and we're all good. So say just connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me for the book, and I'll send it to you.
Fantastic. So guys, connect with him. It's a free resource, boy, and you can see from what he shared here, like how that can help you. Because already I bet you, if you've been thinking about getting on LinkedIn, you've been thinking about how sending these DMs, how to do that, you can see that this is going to help. So reach out, get hold of the book. I mean, if not even selling it. So y'all, it's a free resource. If you take it, read it, and implement, I guarantee you within the next 45 days, you should have clients. At least one from LinkedIn. So you want to do that. So on this note, we are going to end it here. If you have, I will leave the details in the description box, in the show notes here, if you're listening to it, and as well if you want to check out anything else that I do, the resources will be there. And sometime next year, be on the lookout. We might just do a collaboration with James where we bringing the both of both world, social selling and content marketing together. So you want to stay tuned for that. But on this note, we are going to leave you here and check out any of the other episodes because they are fire. They are fire, if I have to say so myself, y'all. So I bring the best. I bring the best guests to you. So subscribe. Share. Don't be selfish. We are sharing. I'm bringing people that are sharing the information here. So you don't be selfish and hold the information. Share it with somebody else also. Your friends. Share it with 2 people that could use this information to get clients. And you could help them, whether they are a freelancer, business owner. These informations are information that we all need and we all wanted when we started and we didn't know. So if you can help somebody else shorten the learning curve, please do it. Don't hold the information for yourself. That's bad, really. I should tell Santa, because we were recording it right about December. I would tell Santa not to bring you gifts because, child, you are not being nice. They should give you coal and not gifts, just saying. So on the note, see you on the next one. Bye.